Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode 12 of the Let's Talk About This podcast, the best of the Let's Talk About branded podcasts out in existence today. How you guys doing? How you been? I'm good. I have a new setup. I'm still using my main laptop here to do Spreaker and everything for this podcast, but I do have some other things now that I'm using for reference material. And so hopefully things can be a little more smooth. But what do we got tonight? Tonight we have another topic submitted by a listener, and this is once again submitted by listener Amanda K. And you may know Amanda from my last user submitted episode, which was Muppets. She submitted that one to me and suggested it. I mistakenly called her Amanda J because that's what I had known her as before, and I had completely forgotten that it's not a J anymore. Now it's a K. So Amanda K, I have corrected that mistake, and here you go. Here's another one from you, for you, and for everybody else. We're going to talk about superstitions. Superstitions. Everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. Let's talk about this. Okay, so what's the deal with superstitions? What is a superstition? A superstition is generally, and I'm gonna kind of pare this down to something that's super simple, a lot simpler than what it actually is, but in a way that we're all going to be able to easily follow along with it. A superstition is a belief, usually without direct evidence, like actual physical evidence and scientific study, that that an action or an object in a certain circumstance will give you either good luck or bad luck. Now, the jury's out whether luck itself actually is a thing that can be manipulated. We all have our good days and our bad days, and good fortune and bad fortune and things like that. So it's hard to say whether this is something that's actually going to be a thing or not. But we all have these, usually. So let's get into it. Let's get into our superstitions. I know you guys have heard about a lot of these. One of the big ones, of course, is never let a black cat cross your path. And I'm just going to list a few first before I go into... I'm going to kind of get into them a little bit more, find out where they came from potentially and why you're not supposed to do some of these things. But yeah, if a black cat crosses your path, it's supposed to be bad luck. Apparently, locomotive engineers, train folks, believe a rabbit or a wild hare crossing your path is bad luck. Interesting. Some numbers are supposed to be bad luck, like the number 13 is a real popular one. 13 is a super popular one. It's still common today for large let me see if I can speak here. It's common today for large skyscrapers often to not have a 13th floor. And there's all kinds of scary stories and things written about arriving on the 13th floor. You got scary movies and scary things, and it's supposed to be a non-floor that you show up there and bad things happen. There's some good ones. In China, of course, some people around here in the Western countries know about feng shui, where depending on where you arrange things in your home, it can give your home a certain energy flow, and that can be either good or bad for you. Okay? People have lucky numbers, like the number 8 is supposed to be lucky in China. During a lot of people know about rabbit's foot, lucky rabbit's foot. During the hysterics over the last couple of years about the viruses and things, apparently, and I didn't know this, people in parts of Indonesia made what's called tetek melek, which is a traditional homemade mask made of coconut palm fronds. They didn't wear these. They made them, and then they hung them in doorways to keep the occupants of buildings safe. So that's interesting. So it's like a symbolic mask to ward off disease and viruses and things. Breaking a mirror is supposed to give you 7 years of bad luck. Walking under a ladder is supposed to give you bad luck. If you spill salt, like a shaker of salt, you're supposed to take a little bit of it and toss it over your shoulder. Mm-hmm. I don't really. I mean, I kind of know a little bit about that. An Arabic Islamic thing is to throw 7 stones to keep the devil at bay, supposedly. And I don't remember the circumstances as to why they would, like when they'd feel the need to do that. But you can see that there's a lot of these. There's an awful lot of them. And it's interesting. I mean, most of us have something like that. Most of us are like, oh, don't do that, that's bad luck. And you don't even think about it. They're kind of baked in. Like, you don't think about why you say it or whether it's true or not. But once the idea gets planted in there, it takes root, and that's what it is. Like, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecy kind of things. Where if you tell somebody, hey, I've put a curse on you, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't believe you. But the more they think about it, the more they start having bad luck. Not because they're actually having more bad luck, but because they're thinking about that curse and they're sabotaging themselves. And there's no real curse involved, but they kind of give themselves a curse. You know what I mean? You've done it, I've done it, we've all done it. We've all, like, we've taken a test in school and we're like, I know I did terrible. I'm gonna fail. And then if you do terrible, you assume, oh, it's because, oh man, I knew it. And then everything else after that seems miserable, right? So, yeah, superstitions. Let's get into a few of these because there's some interesting explanations for some of them. One of them, it's bad luck to open an umbrella indoors. Well, why? This one goes back to Victorian England. In 18th century London, they had waterproof umbrellas that became common around that time, and they had metal spokes, but they had a really stiff, clumsy spring mechanism, according to Wikipedia here. So they were kind of hazardous. They'd spring out in ways you didn't kind of predict, and they were really kind of heavy duty, different from the real thin kind of aluminum and metal that we use today. And so they had a tendency to, if they like opened up all of a sudden because they weren't secured in like a small area, they'd actually injure people, an adult or a child, or they'd even break things. They'd shatter fragile objects and things like that. And even if nothing bad happened, if it pops open, people might be grumpy about it, like, oh, you didn't secure your umbrella, man, why would you do that? And the other person would be like, I know I did, don't accuse me of not securing my umbrella. And then you have an argument, and then that's everybody gets in bad moods, and there you go, bad luck, right? What's another one? Bad luck to walk under a leaning ladder. And this one goes all the way back 5,000 years ago to ancient Egypt, if you can believe it. I didn't believe it, but it is. And a ladder leaning against a wall forms a triangle. And the Egyptians, because they saw the triangles as divine and sacred, like the pyramids, if you passed through a triangle, you desecrated the triangle. And of course, the gods would be angry at you, and so they'd give you a curse, so you'd have bad luck. Right? Right? Interesting. How about broken mirror gives you 7 years of bad luck? And, let's see. In ancient Greece, it was common for people to consult mirror seers, which are people who would read your future by looking at your reflection. Okay? And it was called catoptromancy. That's a big word for you. Catoptromancy. And they dip the mirror in water, and you're supposed to look into the glass. And if your image is distorted, bad things would happen. If it was clear, they wouldn't. And the Romans later added that a distorted image resulting from a broken mirror meant 7 years of ill health and misfortune, because it was believed by them at the time that people's health changed in 7-year cycles. Don't know where they got that from, but that's interesting. That's an interesting little bit of Roman tidbit for you. Um, okay, here's the spilling the salt. When you spill salt, toss them over your left shoulder, specifically your left shoulder, to avoid bad luck. And it goes all the way back to the Sumerians, which is one of my favorite time periods. I love talking about the Sumerians. It's some of the first civilizations on the planet. All kinds of interesting things about that, all like ancient aliens and all the kind of good stuff. But we're not going to get into that with this show. That's one of my other shows. But in 3500 BC, and they were the first people to take a pinch of salt and throw it over their left shoulders. And that went to the Egyptians afterwards, and the Assyrians and the Greeks. And I guess it reflects, according to Wikipedia, it reflects how much people prized salt as a seasoning for food. Because if you were willing to give up something that was important to you by throwing it over your shoulder, clearly you were serious about getting rid of your bad luck, right? Right. Knock on wood to prevent disappointment or bad luck. Now, they don't really know where exactly this came from. They may have believed that peasants in Europe from the Dark Ages, they may have felt that knocking loudly on a wooden door or a wooden wall or something would keep out evil spirits. Huh? That's possible. It's possible. Always say God bless you after a sneeze. What does that mean? What they mean is, and this was an interesting one too, because I've covered this on my other show a couple of times. Because in the old days, people believed that when you sneezed, it was your spirit or your soul trying to escape your body. Weird, right? And so people would say, you'd sneeze, and somebody nearby would say, "Oh, God bless you," because they figured that would push the spirit back in and would keep the soul from flying out your body. Right? So, also, another one was in the 6th century A.D. by Pope Gregory the Great. They had a pestilence going through Italy. It doesn't say if it was the plague or what it was on the article I've got here. But the first symptom was severe chronic sneezing. And after that, usually much, much worse, and possibly you'd expire. But Pope Gregory said that you have to pray for the sick people, and as soon as somebody sneezed, you should say, "God bless you." Because then they'd figure, "Oh, here's a blessing, you'll be fine, you're going to recover," whatever, you know? Interesting stuff. And horseshoes, that's a big one. People have horseshoes that they're supposed to have in their house, like nailed to the door. And depending on whether they were up and down made a difference, too. One of the biggest things was that it was for the Greeks, because horseshoes were made of iron, and it was common to believe that iron had the ability to ward off evil spirits. And not only that, but they also were in the shape of the crescent moon, which was a symbol of good fortune. Yeah? Another thing about horseshoes is there's two ways to look at it. Some people say that the end should point up so that the horseshoe catches the good luck. Right? But others say that it needs to be pointing down so that the good luck is poured upon those entering the home. What do you think? Do you guys do you folks get into this stuff? Do you do the horseshoes? What do you think, up or down? Let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. And here's one of the most famous ones. This is a big one. A black cat crossing your path is unlucky. Now, let's see where this was. In the Middle Ages, a lot of people in Europe believed that black cats were the familiars or companions of witches, because black was a color of, bad things and whatnot. And that a black cat crossing your path was an indication of bad luck and a sign that the witches were watching you. Huh? Ah. And that continued because the Pilgrims, when they came to the United States, before it was the United States, of course, when they came to the American continent, they brought that belief with them. And that's after that they had all kinds of problems with witchcraft and supposedly through the history, because we had the Salem witch trials and all the other kind of stuff. But that's a story for another day, of course. Have some water. The number 13, also known as triskaidekaphobia. That's a big word. Triskaidekaphobia. That's the fear of the number 13. And it goes all the way back to Norse mythology. See, you guys are learning a lot in this episode. Like, my other episodes are good, but this one's like, take some notes. You're learning some history. This is some good stuff. Like going to school, but more fun. I hated school, by the way, but you should go, because it's good for you. Anyway, number 13, Norse mythology. There's a story where 12 gods were invited to dine at Valhalla. A magnificent banquet and in the city of the gods. Now, Loki, who was the god of strife and evil, etc., and a troublemaker, and like, he played tricks and pranks on people, he crashed the party, which made the number of attendees 13. The others tried to kick him out, and in the struggle, somebody got maimed, and so 13 became an unlucky number. And, yeah. There's no actual statistical evidence that 13 is unlucky, of course, because there wouldn't be. So yeah, that's a few things about superstitions. There's a lot of them, and let me double check with my message from Amanda K to see if there was another one that she mentioned, because when she told me about it, she mentioned one or two things. Oh yeah, walking on cracks. Walking on cracks. Let me see if I can look that up to find out where that came from. Let's see, because that wasn't in my Wikipedia stuff. Don't step on a crack. Because as a child, we all say, don't step on a crack, you break your mother's back. Huh? Let's see what it means. I'm going to see if I can get some background on it. No, I'm just getting some explanation, but not what does it mean? See if I can look it up in real time. Okay. There's apparently no definitive source for the first instance of it. And this is from a website called How Stuff Works that I just looked up. I guess they say there's evidence that it dates to some of the earliest folk beliefs shared by early Europeans and on the American continent. And apparently, they believed that danger lurked in the empty spaces of a crack. In sidewalks, floors, and soil, as well as in walls, there were gaps in the boundaries between the earthly realm and the spiritual realm. And if you interacted with them, no matter how narrow, it could bring misfortune to you or your family. And there's different versions. Here's an interesting one. You've got don't step on a crack, you'll break your mother's back. But then there's another one. Step on a line, break your father's spine. Huh? That's catchy. And so a lot of kids, you would avoid stepping on them. You would go out of your way to avoid stepping on cracks in concrete and and sidewalks and things like that. You'd go out of your way not to step on them. And then if you did, if you were with your friends, you'd be like, "Oh no, you did it! Oh, you'll break your mama's back now!" Ah, ha, ha. And they'd laugh at you, and then you'd all go about your day. But apparently, where's this article from? It doesn't say how old this article is, but it references a poll that's sourced from the Daily Mail, which you can take your pick. The Daily Mail is a newspaper, a UK newspaper that's well known for not being entirely on the straight and narrow, if you know what I mean. It's not quite a tabloid, but it's close, I guess. And the Daily Mail is like the CNN and Fox News of the UK. I know I'm putting those in the same category. If you're mad about it, I can't help that. They're both the same. They're just on different ends, okay? But they're both the same. Get your news someplace else, is what I'm saying. Get your news someplace else. But apparently a poll in the Daily Mail of 3,000 respondents in Great Britain found that 1 in 20 wouldn't step on cracks on pavement, even though they really didn't think they'd face any real consequences. Because it's baked in. It's the step on a crack thing. It's part of us. It's in there. It's something that we think about, that we do, and that's just how it is. You've said the rhyme so many times that you believe it as an adult. Sometimes I still find myself doing it. Sometimes I still find myself doing it, avoiding cracks as I'm walking. You know? It's interesting. It's interesting stuff. It's also bad luck to sail on a Friday. Sailors who wear earrings or have tattoos won't drown, supposedly. Rats leaving a ship are a sign of trouble, which is not exactly a superstition, because rats are a bit smarter than we are at sea, and they, like birds, can sense when there's storms and things like that, or when there's earthquakes. Rats can tell when there's going to be a problem with the boat, or there's a storm at sea, and they'll try to get off the boat. That's true. That's actually true. So some superstitions aren't really superstitions. They're it's things that actually happen. Let's see. Seeing if there's anything more interesting here. Interesting stuff. Well, that's about most of it. I mean, there's more. There's definitely more than what I've covered here. But those are some of the most popular ones, and those are the ones probably that most people have heard of. And I like them. I like them. I think they're interesting. Whether they're actually true or not is kind of irrelevant, because again, they're part of our mindset. They're part of, pardon me. They're part of how we are these days. You know, they've grown with us. We hear these things as children. These I almost said we see these things as children, and we grow up with them, and they just kind of stick. You know, they just stay in there. The mirror thing's still a big one. The salts. I've known people that still do the salt thing. Not too many, but I know people, and there's some people who do the black cat thing. Now, I have a black cat in my house. He's a kitten, and he goes back and forth in front of me all the time. So if he's bad luck, I'm getting all kinds of, like, accumulated. It's just building and building into a big old bad luck repository somewhere. But I know people who won't do the number 13. There was that movie with Jim Carrey about the number 23 a ways back, because some people, have problems with 23. What else? I'm trying to think of other superstitions. Oh, there's the one, not only just don't go on sale on a Friday, there's red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. Right? Which is supposed to say that at night, if at sundown, when you have a sunset, if there's red in it, then the next sailing day is going to be good. But if you're getting up in the morning and the sunrise has red in it, then it's going to be bad. Don't go sailing. It's going to be a storm or something bad's going to happen to you. I've heard that one before. I'll have to look that up one of these times here and find out exactly why they say that. But yeah, I know a lot of people still do the knock on wood. People even say it rather than do it. People will say, well, I'm trying to get the promotion and knock on wood, it goes well. It's one of those things that's in there. It's stuck in there, whether they actually believe it's going to help or not, And people make their own, too. Like, people have these, ritual things. People have sports superstitions. They're huge in sports. Sports fans will say, this is my favorite jersey. I have to wear it on every day that there's a game for my team. If I don't wear it, it's going to be bad luck. And sometimes they even go real far with it. They say, oh yeah, this is my favorite jersey. I don't wash it. I don't wash it until they win. Or until they win the championship or something like that. So you've got this dirty old jersey you keep wearing every week, sometimes twice a week, depending on how the games are. And it's like, okay. And some people do that with, these are my lucky socks. I wear my lucky socks every time I have something important going on. And then they don't wash them, or they do things with them, or, my lucky underwear. That's a big one. I don't do the... No thanks. I won't. That's a bit much for me. Please wash your clothes. Please wash your clothes, sir. Or madam. Or either or neither. It's 21st century now. You can be whatever you want. So, yeah. I guess I have some of my own homebrew things too, but I don't really see them as superstitions particularly. If I'm out with family or with people and we're going into a restaurant or going into different places, generally I'm the last person in and the last person out. I'll open the door for everybody else and I gotta go in last, and they have to leave ahead of me. I have to get out of the building after everybody else. I don't go nuts with it. I'm not gonna freak out if I don't, but it's just been a common thing for me. What else? I don't know if this is a superstition or if it's just a habit that I have, but when I wake up, my day doesn't really truly start until I've had my shower. I can be fully awake and moving around and everything else without a shower, but it doesn't feel right. My day isn't complete, or hasn't even begun to be complete, until I've had my shower. And it's not if I don't have a shower I'm going to stink all day, because I don't all the time. Sometimes you go camping or you go on a trip and there's no shower facilities, and a day is okay. I'm not going to stink. I'm going to be okay. I take deodorant with me and stuff like that, but I don't sweat that bad. But I just have this thing where if I haven't showered, I don't feel awake. I don't feel in with the day. I don't feel my day doesn't fit. I gotta have that shower every day, without fail, or my day doesn't start. Maybe that's a superstition. Maybe it's just a habit I have. I don't know. Could be superstition. Could be something else. Don't know. But yeah, superstitions. There's a bunch of them. Once again, I want to say thank you to Amanda K. That's her name, Amanda K. For suggesting this one. That's a twofer for her. She suggested Muppets before, and this time she just suggested superstitions. I'm not sure what I'll do next Monday. I'm usually never sure until either the day of, because I like to kind of fly by the seat of my pants there. I like to kind of keep it loose, keep it chill. Maybe I'll do... I keep saying I'm going to do cats or something like that, because cats are something to talk about. And I certainly have enough cats I can talk about. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe we'll talk about that black cat that's always crossing my path. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, so today was Monday. This was Superstitions. Let's talk about this. You can listen to this after the fact on iTunes, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Google, everywhere. Everywhere. It'll be up on my YouTube, Spider Does Things on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel, please. Like, share, subscribe. If you are interested in providing any kind of monetary support for any of my endeavors, you may do so. PayPal.me/Spider in the Hall. It's the old one I used to use for my band stuff, and I don't really do band things anymore, but I still have the same old PayPal. And it is not a requirement. It's not like a donation. I'm not asking you to be like, please donate to keep me on the air. I'll be on the air regardless of what you do. So it's not a big deal. It's just if you feel like, hey, you know what? I like the stuff this guy says. I think it's great. I'm going to buy him a sandwich. Then you can PayPal me like $5 or something. Whatever. That's it. You know, no pressure, no hassle, no big campaigns, no big deal. No $80,000 RVs. You know, nothing like that. You know, I'm not worried about it. I am never going to take a look at my list of people listening and be like, you didn't pay $5. You're not as good as such and such. Who did pay $5? No, it doesn't matter. I mean, so far nobody has paid $5, so it doesn't matter. Nobody's paid $5. Nobody's spent $1. Nobody's spent more than that. Don't matter. It don't matter. Do it if you want to. If you don't, you don't. PayPal.me/Spider in the Hall. Okay? So, today was Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday, it'll be Twitch Tuesday. My Twitch streams on Tuesdays always go to my YouTube after the fact. I've been playing Dead Island 2. Pardon me, I had a birthday at the same time. I've been playing Dead Island 2, and I might still do that, or I might play some more Gears of War, because I've been going through the entire Gears of War series from 1 on up to 5, including Judgment. And the only one I haven't done is Gears Tactics, because I don't like turn-based stuff. I don't like it at all. Like XCOM and things like that, I don't like it. It always seems to outsmart me. I'm not smart enough, I guess. I like to think I'm a smart guy, but I'm not smart enough for turn-based strategy games. So, yeah, I'm on 3 right now. I'm about to finish real soon, so maybe by tomorrow I'll be on 4. So that's Tuesday. On Wednesday, got nothing going on. On Thursday, there's another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club on YouTube. Spider Does Things on YouTube. Okay? That's the channel name, Spider Does Things. On Friday, it's another episode of This Uncanny Earth on that YouTube. And on Saturday, The Saturday Spiritualist. Okay? I think that covers everything. I got so much stuff I gotta say every time. Oh, goodness. So yeah, so that's it. So I will see you folks then. Good night.